There was a man who was caught shoplifting in a store. He was at court. The judge said, "Sir, I understand you stole a can of peaches. How many were in that can?" He said, "5." The judge said, "Okay, I will give you 1 week for each peach. So you have 5 weeks." Just after that, his wife stood up and said, "Your Honor, may I say something?" The judge said, "Yes, what is it?" She said, "He stole a can of peas too." Dear friends, in Jesus Christ, something of the joy of Christmas comes through in the prayers and the readings of this third Sunday of Advent, a Sunday that has been traditionally known a Gaudete Sunday, Rejoice Sunday. In the first reading, the people of Israel together exclaim, "I exult for joy in the Lord. My soul rejoices in my God." In the second reading, St. Paul calls upon the Thessalonians, "Be happy at all times." The call to joy in today's readings may have something to say to those who find it hard to get into joyful mood in the run up to Christmas. Indeed, it has something to say to all of us about where true joy is to be found. When Paul calls on the Thessalonians to be happy at all times or to rejoice always, he was well aware that life was not a bed of roses for them. Indeed, earlier in the same letter, St. Paul says to them, "When we were with you, we told you beforehand that we were to suffer affliction, and it has to come to pass, as you know." We know from elsewhere in the letter that some members of this community had recently died, and that there was a great deal of grief among them. Yet, to this community that was suffering affliction and loss, St. Paul could say, "Rejoice always." Having called on them to rejoice, he immediately called on them to pray constantly and to give thanks in all circumstances. Paul does not say, "Give thanks for all things," but give thanks in all things, in all the circumstances. Many things can happen to us and to others for which we cannot give thanks because they do not correspond to God's will for our lives. However, Paul could say that no matter what happened to us, we can always give thanks in the midst of it. In other words, there is always something for which we can be grateful. We may be struggling in various ways, but as a Christians, we never cease giving thanks. God has blessed us in Christ. That is the good news, and that good news remains even when we are suffering with the pain of loss, even when we are afflicted in one way or another. When we come to Mass, we come to give thanks. Eucharist means thanksgiving. We come to give thanks even if the situation out of which we have come is far from satisfactory. We come to Mass to give thanks because we know that whatever may be happening to us, in the words of St. Paul at the end of today's second reading, God has called you and God will not fail you. If we could take that word away with us today, God will not fail us and carry it into whatever difficult situation in which we may find ourselves. We will be moved to give thanks. We will find a joy welling up within us. In the run up to Christmas, today's reading call upon us to enter the joy which is the fruit of our faith. Entering into that joy will often require a conscious effort on our part. We may need to make choices to let go of negative thoughts that pull us down. We might decide to make it a point every day to be grateful for something good in ourselves, for some way that the Lord has blessed us and continues to bless us. We discover the joy of our faith, especially when we live our faith, when we love each other as God has loved us in Christ. It is in giving as Christ gave that we receive. It is in serving that we find joy. So let us rejoice.